Hi, welcome to Unity Spiritual Center of Lansing. I'm Reverend Sharon Ketchum. I'm with you today or tonight, whatever time you're watching this, to offer you a spiritual insight, a spiritual message that hopefully will touch your heart and open you up to your own personal growth and greater understanding. Before I do that, I'm just going to stop sharing the screen because I want to have a talk with you. It's been an unusual week, an historic week by many accounts in this post-election time. And it reminded me of a quote by Peter Senge. He said, "How do we rediscover our innate capacity to connect on behalf of a shared future? As we go forward from the outcome that really in many ways is still unfolding, all the different aspects of it, how do we connect with that innate capacity to connect on behalf of a shared spiritual future?" When the EPA, the Environmental Protection Agency, was first started, the employees used to wear a button that said, "Does it have to be this way?" And as we stand together in this moment, all of us have preconceived ideas about the world, the state of the United States, all those things. And if we could go forward living with that question, does it have to be this way? It allows that opportunity for change and for evolution within our collective consciousness. It reminds me of a story about this Jewish teacher who asked his students, "How do you tell when night is fading and dawn is coming?" And one student said, "When you can see the shape of an animal and you can tell the difference if it's a dog or a sheep." Another one said, "I know, it's when you can look at a tree and tell if it's a maple or a willow." And he said, "No, no. The way you can tell that the dawn is fading and or the night is fading and the dawn is coming is when you can look at any man or woman and discern that you're looking at a brother or a sister. Until you can see with that clarity, night will always be with us." I have an innate feeling that we are seeing the dawn, that we are learning to look at one another as a brother and sister. And as with any healthy community, healthy family, we want to create that calm state where anyone can speak with convictions about their beliefs and take action without criticism of the belief of others and without becoming involved in an emotional debate. We are looking at that innate capacity to create humanity together, to create our future together. So to inspire us for this week's lesson, I've chosen a song from Daniel Nahmod that I just think is perfect for this time of year of our lives. It's called "If the Race is Over." And really, that the election is over, the race is over, but each of us are in our own personal experience. So I invite you to listen to these words and be moved by it.
What do I do if I'm not chasing anything? What do I do if I've got everything that I need? It's a question that no one's prepared me to answer. Where do I go if I'm right where I'm supposed to be? Where do I go if wherever I am home? It's a question I'm presently wanting to answer. If the usual way doesn't work for me now, that's a void I know nothing about. What if the race is over and we all automatically win? What if the game is ended long before it even begins? What if the test has been taken and we're all passing again and again? If the race is over, what then? What do I say if it's all perfect anyway? What do I say if I'm not here to change anyone? It's It's a question I truly don't know how to answer. How do I live if my life is eternity? How do I live if I'm no longer afraid to die? It's a mystery, no one can give me an answer. If the usual way doesn't work anymore, there's no map for what life has in store. What if the race is over and we all automatically win? What if the game is ended long before it even begins? What if the test has been taken and we're all passing again and again? If the race is over, what then? What is the purpose of time here on earth? How do I now define my death and birth? For that matter, what is my life really worth in the end? What's mine to give and what's mine to receive? Whom do I worship? What do I believe? Seems every answer comes right back to me in the end. What if the race is over and we all automatically win? What if the game is ended long before it even begins? What if the test has been taken and we're all passing again and again? If the race is over and we're all born victorious, if the race is over, what then?
What then? Well, it's our choice. It is our choice. We've been working on a series called The Trance of Scarcity and looking at how we can move from this trance of scarcity into a cycle of abundance in our life in so many ways. I do have a little chart of that just to remind you what that looks like. Um, there we go. There we go. So when we're in that trance of scarcity, we're in this outer condition where it's like the universe is against us. There's no hope. It's just really difficult. And everything is very tight and constricted in our lives. But in this cycle of abundance, it's that ease, that cycle, like just like breath of inhale and exhale. And we talked first about our thoughts, our being to align with our core values, what we really want in life, knowing that where our attention is, that's where our energy goes, and that's what grows into our life. Then last week we talked about the 3G force, this really incredible force that keeps us inside of this circle of abundance, this cycle of abundance. And that was about the freedom to give, that a state of gratitude and a way of living generously with this just expansiveness of being. But there's one part we haven't covered yet, right down there at the bottom. There's that receiving part. We don't talk about receiving too often. Matthew Fox, if you've ever read him, he's just a wonderful kind of a mystical teacher. And he says to receive, we must be alert, awake, and prepared to receive. Are you prepared to receive? May I put another way? Are you satisfiable? Are you satisfiable? Think about that one. When we receive, it's part of the cycle like it is with our breath. It's that inhale, the depth of our inhale. Sometimes we breathe very shallow, especially more when that trance of scarcity, everything's so tight and constricted. But it's about taking that breath in, a breath that says, yes, thank you, I accept. I accept freely. I just love being part of this flow. But some of us in the back of our heads, and I will include myself in there, I can hear being told at times in my life that receiving or thinking about receiving was actually selfish and kind of indulgent. But when you think about it, to have flow, you need an input and an outlet. And in order to have an outlet, you need to have a place where it will inlet. So, learning how to receive with that attitude of yes and acceptance helps keep that flow in the cycle of abundance moving. It it helps everybody to be part of that cycle, to take part in those six key components. Of course, we need to be an accountable receiver. I would say probably most of us really have a deep desire to do good in the world, to serve humanity. But in order to do that, we need to make ourselves available. And in order to make ourselves available, we need to be able to receive. We need to be able to be nourished. We need to be able to be inspired. We need to be able to be sustained in all the many ways that keeps us going, keeps us moving. If we don't, we will burn out. And consider this, sometimes we won't receive because we slip back to the idea that there's not enough. And if we have, somebody else doesn't. Somebody else is a have not. But whenever we think that we have to refrain from some good for ourselves, that somehow we have to say no to that is coming our way, at some point, we're just going to overindulge. Ask any dieter, anybody that's denied themselves eating certain foods, at some point you break and you just absolutely overindulge. And this is not being lavish with life. This is actually putting a really big block, a big stop on life. Lavishness, if you think about it, it's living in a realm of saying yes. It's living in a realm of being wholehearted. It's living in a realm of being intentional and enthusiastic about life. But when we start putting the brakes on and going, no, I don't need to receive anymore, we really kind of step into an attitude of stinginess. We have these self rules, these limiting rules. We can have this much good, but no more because that's our share. That's all we're allowed to have. And, when we start living within those rules, we start finding ourselves getting frustrated. We get suspicious of other people. Somebody else is cheating, they're not following the rules. Or how about righteous anger? Look what they're doing. Look what they did. Or sometimes it's just grim resignation. Oh, I'm meant to suffer. I'm meant to live without hope. And we know that's not true. It's kind of ironic that in our culture, we have the ability to get what we want, but we have the inability to really be satisfied and happy with what we have. That's called discontentment. The ability to get what we want, but not to be happy with what we already have. That is outside the cycle of abundance. That is in that darkness where the dawn has not even begun peeking in yet. And sometimes we think that if we have plenty of something, then we must be spiritually shallow. That we relate spirituality to suffering and going without. I don't know where those crazy ideas came to because we look at the universe, we look at the world, it is so abundant and overflowing. A tree doesn't think they're taking nutrients from another tree. No, they work out this incredible ecosystem. And, you know, happiness, living in that cycle is not about money or time or stuff or privilege or love or freedom. Our degree of joy is truly about how we behave with what we already have, what we've already received. And I'm going to give you a little alert here. There is no chart that tells you when you have enough. Enough is one of those words that you never reach. It's like going halfway across the room. There's never enough once you get into that caught in that enough cycle. We want to be in the flow. We want to be in that freedom, that yes mentality. Because when we step back down to that stricture, that limitation, think of that word tightwad. You can just feel your whole body, the soma can just tighten up. That whole idea of tightwad is when we want to be control of everything instead of being spontaneously in the moment. We have an incredible innate sense of the right choices to make, to go forward, to make this the most loving, compassionate experience possible within our capabilities. There's a story of this woman who went on a camping trip with some friends, and they were up in the mountains, and it was their last day, and it had just been a wonderful time. You know how it is when you get away with nature and you just settle into it. And when you're leaving, there's a little bit of sadness. So as everybody was packing up, she went to the top of the mountain near where they were staying. She said, I'm just going to breathe in this beautiful fresh mountain air. I am going to look at this scenery and just absorb it all so that in the days to come, I can have this moment to bring back, to relish this beauty, this wonderfulness, and breathing in and looking and trying to absorb it. And she just, every time she turned to go back to her vehicle, it wasn't staying with her. And she goes, oh, I guess this moment was just a flash in the pan. And as she slowly walked back to her car, kind of discouraged, because it really was so beautiful and so peaceful, she heard this voice in her head or outside of her head. She heard this voice that said, how about you let us absorb you? She shook her head and she got it. And she went back up to the mountain and she stood there open and let the beauty of the mountains and that clean mountain air absorb her. She became totally open to the flow, totally open to the flow. That really is the oneness, letting ourself out, letting ourself be in the flow. I'm looking forward someday to going to the Holy Land and then looking at the different sites. There are two places in Bethlehem that's claimed to be the birthplace of Jesus. And I've often thought that as people go to each place, they let themselves out. They let themselves feel that wonderful idea of birth and life and that interconnected us with God. So whether one or the other or either of them were the actual birthplace of this master teacher, the energy they leave behind and the energy that as they let the place absorb their energy, those wonderful thoughts that come when you think of a person who is very loving, who has taught wonderful wisdom things. They allow themselves to be part of that. So when you go there, that is what I think each of us feels in those places that are ascribed as a holy place, a special place. There are some laws certainly around this whole cycle of abundance, and one that's very key is that the more we allow ourselves to feel, the more present we can be. And the more present we can be, the greater our capacity to receive. We want to get into that state of a voluptuous experience, of an experience that's open to life. So this is not about settling for less or um, somehow being greedy. It's about a capacity to receive more in a very universal sense. It's about practicing receiving the good things in life. And by receiving, there's implied in that is an appreciation, a connectedness with that. And I would invite you right now to look around wherever you are, just be present in the moment and think about what in front of you right now are you grateful for? Maybe it's the temperature of the room. Maybe it's the support the chair you have is giving you, whatever it might be. Maybe it's a view out your window. And just in this moment, recognize how you're feeling and then allow yourself to turn up the dial 10%. Receive it a little bit more. Really feel the support of this wonderful chair, that gorgeous view out the window, the temperature that is so comfortable to your body. and just turn up your dial of appreciation, because as you appreciate it more, your capacity to receive expands. There's a poem by Derek Walcott called Love After Love, and his final line is sit, feast on life. Sit and feast on life as it is. This is your life. So feast on this place. Feast on your income. Feast on your age. Feast on you. Feast on your life. Just turn up that dial and appreciate it a little bit more so that you can totally be in that open arena to receive. Einstein said that there are two ways to look at life, but one is if nothing is a miracle, and the other is if everything is a miracle. And I guarantee you, it is all a miracle, including you. So, how do we, a little review of how we live in this cycle of abundance? I'm just going to move past this slide. Okay, cycle of abundance is a way of being. So, it's keeping our attention to that idea of asking, why not? Why not have more good in my life? Why not have more compassion in my life? Why not? Does it what it doesn't have to be this way. Why not change it? Why not do that next courageous act? Listen to other people with respect and compassion. Whenever we allow more to come into our circle, they may not be our opinions or ideas, but as we learn to listen to others, we get this bigger aspect of the world, of all the different variances, and there's gifts within each and every one of them that we eventually get to unwrap. Take some time to reflect on what matters to you. All too often we get caught up into the busyness of day to day, the things that have to be done. But every now and then, during that day, just to connect what is important to us: love, our family, our health, our planet. Reflect on what matters to you, because this will guide the things you say and the things you do. And start committing to live your life voluptuously. That means open. We don't have to stay on a straight and narrow path to keep safe. There's a wonderful, gorgeous experience in trying new things, of finding the serendipitous. Think about if you sat in a closed room so that you could contain all the air you breathe. Yeah, you would know exactly what was in the air, but pretty soon that air would turn poisonous. It would stifle you. It would become too much carbon monoxide. You would no longer have the oxygen you need. It's kind of the same way of life. We need to live open so there is a flow, so there's that constant changing and expanding in our life. Certainly expressing love daily, something you've heard before, but I don't think any of us can be reminded of it too much. Express love daily, whether we say it to those that we love, whether we feel it, or in our eyesight, since we're wearing a mask when we're outside, we're looking at strangers, but to express that love daily in just all those wonderful little ways. And then remember, no matter what is happening on the outside, you matter. You are a key, unique aspect of life itself. You matter, for you are a miracle. I have no doubt. So as you go about this week, I just going to inspired me, this quote from Henry James. He said, true happiness consists of getting out of oneself. But the point is not only to get out, you must stay out. You must have some absorbing errand. So as we find ourselves taking up residence in the cycle of abundance, I invite you to find an absorbing errand so that you can stay in the flow. An absorbing way to be of service, an absorbing way of saying yes to life, an absorbing way of living in love every single day. Thank you. And now we're going to take a little time to celebrate gratitude. And first of all, I want to express deepest gratitude for every one of you that helps support this ministry. And it's with such joy. One of the ways we celebrate our gratitude is in tithing, and we're sharing our tithes with our Congregants Choice, Punks with Lunch, who are feeding the homeless people, Rise, who's working with people that are moving through addiction, and the Sunrise Movement, who have an incredible ecological program. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And now we're going to celebrate our prosperity because each and every one of us have been given gifts this week. Each and every one of us have been given joys. Somebody who might have done just that little thing that made such a difference to us. So with this time of deep appreciation, we just affirm that divine love through us blesses and multiplies all that we have, all that we are, all that we give, and all that we receive. We praise, we give thanks, and most of all, we are glad. We are open to receive. We are open to receive because we want to be part of that flow. Well, Unity is offered to you on demand. You can watch us all at once, binge watch us, or you can watch us in segments, one at a time, however fits into your schedule. Thank you for joining us. There's a lovely meditation if you'd like to take a little time apart, either now or some other time that fits with your schedule. Have a great week. Take hands, imaginary, or if there's someone sitting next to you.
Peace in my life is growing because I choose love.
Feel it.
Love's always present. It's what I'm made of. I choose love.
You are love.
We are a part of each other. We are one. One tie that binds us, that can't be undone. I choose love. Peace in my family is growing because I choose love. Let love be present. It's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One loving family, sharing one son. I choose love. Yes, I do. Peace for our planet is growing because I choose love. Let love be present. It's what we're made of. I choose love. We are a part of each other. We are one. One choice unites us. Let this be the one. I choose